is for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah. Ta is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah. And Tha is for thawab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatem, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
Among the numerous Islamic organizations, Criterion can be said to be in the forefront in lending their voice to contemporary issues. The Criterion Lagos District, a foremost Muslim women association in businesses and professions, organized their 2023 1444 AH annual seminar themed Set Me Over the Storehouses of the Land at Shamsiddin Adisa Hall, Old Secretariat, Alausa, Ikeja. What are your expectations?
Our expectation is that at the end of this program, as Muslims, as individuals, we should be able to do an assessment of yourself as an individual. How will I be relevant in the political train?
Taking the health status of their members and visitors very seriously, the body-ensured Fajim Medicare Foundation was on ground to make sure we know our health status. What is the importance of knowing our medical status?
Not many people are too conscious of their health, do you understand? Because they felt that going to the hospital is either very expensive or they don't actually have the time. So we bring this to them is to screen them to make sure they know that they are okay. Probably if their blood pressure is high, blood pressure happens to be something that kills a lot of people these days and they don't actually know about.
The registration desk ensured all present were duly registered. Adhkar, family prayers and recitation from the Quran formally started the event.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَنَّا لِيُوسُفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ يَتَبَوَّأُ مِنْهَا حَيْثُ يَشَاءُ نُصِيبُ بِرَحْمَتِنَا مَنْ نَشَاءُ وَلَا نُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ.
In her welcome speech, the Amira of the Lagos District of the Criterion, Hajia Maria Morenike Saba, welcomed all while thanking all the stakeholders for their contribution to the success of the seminar.
Brothers and sisters in Islam, it is with utmost humility and great pleasure that I welcome you all to our annual seminar. The Criterion is synonymous with our passion for welfare of women, children, and the less privileged in the society. In our drive to promote family and societal peace and tranquility, this year's theme, Set Me Over the Houses of the Land, I will indeed guide them as one that knows their importance, was conceived from Quran 12 verse 55. The essence of this is for us as Muslims to review our political inclusion in the nation and the endemic corruption that is destroying our values and has become a menace to our growth as individuals and as a nation. The topics, political participation beyond 2023, imperative for Muslims, and endemic corruption and impediments to good governance in Nigeria, will be delivered by Ajia Aziza Funshoraji and Professor Tajuddin Yusuf, both of whom were identified to speak on the topics based on their wealth of knowledge, objectivity, and uprightness. For some of us that are quite close to both of them, will know that they actually possess these values. It is therefore imperative that we listen attentively, assimilate, and do a self-assessment of our role as a Muslim citizen in the rebuilding of our nation.
The chairman of the day, Alhaji Wale Thabit Shonaike, gave his opening remarks while appreciating the Criterion for the timeliness of the theme.
It is my prayer that this annual seminar here today will not only achieve its purpose, but also be beneficial to the organization, the Ummah, and the country at large. I'm particularly fascinated by the choice of your main theme titled, Set Me Over the Storehouses of the Land. I will indeed guard you as one that knows. Quran chapter 12 verse 55. The theme perfectly reflects the political situation in our country today, in which all manner of individuals, or if you like, politicians from different political parties, are seeking and campaigning for our votes to be elected to be in charge of our commonwealth and preside over our affairs in different capacities at state and federal levels. It is indeed a two-way affair involving both the electorate and the politicians. I therefore commend you for this timely and appropriate choice of topic.
The first lecture of the day, delivered by Hajia Azizat Funshoraji, who coincidentally is a member of the Criterion, on the topic Participation Beyond 2023, Imperative for the Muslims. She emphasized why Muslims should participate in politics.
Politics is about, first, number one, politics. Politics is about the totality of the activities surrounding the political struggle for political power towards winning elections and governance. And what is the purpose of governance? It's primarily for the welfare of citizens and to provide them security. What are these political activities? They include party membership, voters registration, as in obtaining our PVCs, electioneering campaigns, and political elections, etc., among others. The actors that are engaged in these activities are referred to as politicians. These actors can be classified into three. The electorate. These people belong to no political party, but they make sure they cast their votes at all elections. In a nutshell, we are all politicians. The second group are the party members, some of whom seek for political offices by presenting themselves as aspirants or candidates at the three levels of government: the local government, the state government, and at the national level. The political office seekers, those looking for appointments, either as commissioners, ministers, heads of parastatals, etc. Political participation. What's the meaning of political participation? I take permission from my learned people that are in the house. Under Section 40 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which states that every person shall be entitled to assemble freely and associate with other persons, and he may form or belong to any political party, trade union, or any other association for the protection of his interests. Every citizen has the right to associate with any lawful body or organization as part of his or her fundamental human rights. Since all these political parties operating in the country are duly registered by the appropriate body, that is the INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission, all citizens, Muslims inclusive, can join any of them to promote his or her desired goal.
What can be best described as an interlude between the first and the second lectures, Hajia Zikrillahi Matesun Oshodi, the immediate past Amira of the body, told us why we should enroll our children in the first Criterion College and the milestone they have achieved since inception.
The Criterion passion for women and the children led us over 20 years ago, SARS and MAS, to look into establishing the first Criterion College. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, like I said, over 20 years. A lot have been put into this college. And Alhamdulillah, on the 8th of November 2020, we started operation academically. We had for that session just one student. And Alhamdulillah, today we have 20 students. Takbir. Fine, it is not enough. We are not where we want to be, but we are not doing badly. Because the criterion for whom we are known for does not take anything for granted. We have more than qualified teachers to take our students. And Alhamdulillah, we can today compete with even more than 30 years established colleges.
This was immediately followed with the second lecture by Professor Tajuddin Olalekan Yusuf on the topic Corruption and Impediments to Good Governance in Nigeria. The prof was very practical, using contemporary happenings to drive in his point.
Corruption is the reason why our country is where it is. And we all cannot exonerate ourselves as not being part of it. Now, but sometimes we do not know what is corruption. We sometimes engage in corruption without knowing this is corruption. When my sister, the newest TG, we should sympathize with her, rally around, and see how she can make a success of that office. Not only here, but in the hereafter. That is it. Others can see public office as a means to amass wealth, self-aggrandizement. But we are Muslims. We are different. We see it as a trial from Allah. It's not honor. It's not honor. It's a trial. Some will say erroneously, Àánú la rí gbà. Àánú kọ́ o, àdánwò la rí gbà. It is when you now use the àdánwò by following the manual of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to scale through ló máa dànù. Whatever position you find yourself today is a trial from Allah. So that when Abu Zar al-Ghifari radiyallahu anhu came to the Prophet and asked the Prophet to make him one of the governors, Prophet Sallam tapped him on the shoulder. Ya Abu Dhar, innaha al-amana wa nadama yawm al-qiyamah. He said, Abu Zar, I see you very weak, but it is a trust and a cause of regret in the hereafter. Don't let me bother you with it. Leave it for others. Because of the Muslim attitude to positions, the wise don't run after it. What is there? Ẹ̀fọ́rí, àìlèsùn, àìlèwo. You will start complaining about her very soon. I call you, you didn't pick my call. How many people will she pick their calls? And if anything goes wrong in her district, they will be sending curses on her. Don't you do so? So the challenge for us is to how can she make a difference? How can we rally around her? Not what is in it for us. Kí ló bá dé kọ́? She must make a success of that office. And not only in this life, but in the hereafter. Because as Muslims, things don't end here. They may start here, but they are ending in the hereafter. So, our attitude to public office, to positions, is very, very, very important. Because corruption comes with public office because of demands and expectations of us. One of our brothers becomes the governor now. Shamaje Kongbadun. The next thing you'll be seeing will be sending CVs. CVs. A lot of CVs. Tó tún bá wá ní ju ìyàwó kan lọ bí irú àwa yìí. Each families of the wife will also be submitting CVs and demands. Tó bá tún bímọ, each ọmọ kọ̀ọ̀kan ló máa mú CV wá. Tó bá wá ní bàbá àti ìyá láyé, ó tán. That is where corruption starts. We are not thinking how this man, our man, will weather the storm, how she will adjudicate over the affairs of men fairly. We are thinking of what is in it for us. How can there be good governance when our expectations of our leader is corrupting? You know now, once you get there, and with social media, you no longer have privacy. No more privacy. You know, look at our society. For people like us who are almost close to 60, we want to do exercise. We have read that sitting too much is not good for our health. When you now see me walking on the street, Prof, moto yida. That is where corruption starts. You are asking me my motto. What is my motto has got to do with it? Because our expectation is, now that this guy has come into public office, it is now his turn and the turn of his family and we, his friends, to corner the Commonwealth to our own advantage. So whether we are qualified or we are not qualified, we see it our right. It's not. So that's how corruption starts. But your children need two things: Islam and education. That's what you need for your children. So if the Criterion College is where all our children should be going, whatever is the cost, that's the best thing you can give them. They don't need your cars. They don't need your clothes. They don't need your house. They need Islam and they need education. Once they have it, they will survive, just as you are surviving.
This was complemented with goodwill messages.
I just want to thank the organizers of this seminar today. That's the Lagos District. The Amira of the Lagos District. It's been a very educative one, very contemporary. We are in an electionary period, and we've all been able to learn one or two things, even from the Korean and from our prof also. So I just want to implore us all, just like we were saying to ourselves, that they sọ pé ata baba wọn simbe they bere pe báwo ló ṣe pín. Just like the people have told us, we just need to be involved. Not necessarily all of us carrying elective positions, but we also must support whoever amongst us is also doing that. And then we also must also exercise our own rights also as citizens. We should all connect our PVCs, ensure that we vote our conscience.
The topics that have been chosen are quite germane. These are things that we could all relate with as part of what is happening to our country. We're talking about participation in the democratic process that will lead to selection of leaders that will govern preside over the affairs of the country.
And what you are doing today shows that you are going back to your role Allah has given to you. Because this is a period we all need to know how to select leaders in line with how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid down the rules.
And we need sincerity of purpose. Only Allah knows those who are worshiping Him. And we want to worship. and we know all the criteria for worship. Let us not be sentimental.
And based on what we had today, everybody needs to take it home so that we'll be able to establish it to people at home that is need to help us to belong to Islam and behave very well in the society and the woman at large.
Appreciating those who deserve to be honored, plaques were presented to say thank you.
To Professor Tajuddin Yusuf for his eloquent and well-delivered lecture. Thank you.
Jazakallah khairan. Thanks for coming.
On behalf of the Criterion, an association of Muslim women in business and the professions, award of appreciation to Honorable Adebayo Babatunde Olasoju, as represented by you, in appreciation of your contribution towards Islam and the Ummah and the success of our seminar 1444 AH is hereby recognized. Please deliver to him. Thank you.
This is a token of our appreciation to you for the erudite lecture you delivered today. I beseech Allah to reward you, both in this world and in the hereafter. Thank you very much.
I want a senior Amir, the companion, so that should reflect in his donation.
On behalf of the Criterion, Association of Muslim Women in Business and Profession, this award of appreciation is presented to Alhaji Tabit Wali Shonaike in appreciation of your contribution towards Islam, the Ummah, and the success of this year's annual seminar.
Special prayers were offered to one of their own who was recently elevated to the post of Permanent Secretary and Tutor General.
We thank Allah for protecting her, and we continue to pray to Allah to ease the affairs, to direct her in the affairs, to assist her to accomplish the expected of the position he's holding. All temptations, all evils that may want to surround her, we pray Allah to actually ward them away from her.
Aisha Alioluwafoyi. You know, as Muslims, we retain our name, maiden name, even when married. She wants to give us a pep talk. I can see Prof following her. Yes. Thank you.
We have observed in the last few years that the major abnormality that we have noted among those that we have screened is the issue of BMI. My Aisha here will talk to us on how we can work on our BMI through diet and other means.
I'm here to talk to you about everyday things that we can do to improve our BMI. So BMI improvement is mostly divided into two parts: physical activity and your diet. So for physical activity, I know that many of our mommies here and daddies, you are sweet 16. But I feel like we can do more for physical activity in terms of taking walks. You can stand. I know that many of our mommies like talking, but because I know that my mother talks to many of you. So when you are talking, rather than sit on the bed and talk, you can pick up your phone, move from one window to one window, and that 1 hour talk, you would be surprised that you have been working for 1 hour. The other side is diet. So for the diet, carbohydrates, protein, fat, and vegetables.
Well presented and discussed papers titled Political Participation Beyond 2023, Imperative for Muslims, and Endemic Corruption, an Impediment to Good Governance in Nigeria. The discourse was led by Professor Tajuddin Yusuf, a professor in the Faculty of Business Administration, University of Lagos, Akoka, and Ij Azizat Funsho Raji, Managing Director, CEO of Fazetas Farms. In this season of political campaigns, Muslims must engage politicians at every opportunity to hear them out and set our demands to guarantee similar rights to women in workplaces. Muslims must therefore elect credible leaders who will enthrone transparency, accountability, rule of law, and uphold ethical values in governance.
The chairman's closing remarks formally rounded off the seminar, which was immediately followed with the vote of thanks and closing prayers.
Today is one of the days that we should be able to showcase Islam through the criterion. And why did I say that? Because you have just participated in the process towards the emancipation and liberation of the people of Nigeria. Wow. Inshallah. And why did I say that? We are a very blessed nation. Honestly, if we have gotten it right, we probably won't be having this type of seminar. But because we have not gotten it right, and because there has been failure of leadership and governance, we are having to do this.
All praises and adorations are to Allah that made today a reality and gave us a glorious outing. We thank him and we ask for more. I also want to thank our chairman, then our guest lecturer. May he continue to be with us as a group, as individual, and as we are living here, may we all arrive at different homes safely.
How was it preparing for the seminar?
Well, alhamdulillah. The task, because I was dealing with the Muslims, and their focus is on serving Allah, they made it easy for me, from the contacting the lecturers, the chairman, and raising the fund, because their focus was on serving Allah.
What are the learning points?
We start earlier. I think we started just like 6 weeks ago. We may start earlier.
What is your impression about the seminar?
Nigerians have woken up. Nigerians want good governance. Nigerians want better life. Nigerians want the best. And because Almighty Allah has created us to be the best.
We can only give glory and adoration to Allah. And we thank all those that have weathered the storm and attended this program. Like I said earlier on, the whole aim is to sensitize us on our need to participate, to be responsive to the politicking in the country.
We wish the Criterion Lagos District more successes in their future endeavors.